Hey, you want to be in a movie? Oh, you're such a good boy. Yes, you are. Oh, what's that? What's that thing Daddy's sticking in your face? It's a camera. Hi, boys and girls. It's me, and I'm in the repair lair. And this, well, unless you're not a radio person, you just happen to stumble upon my channel. This is Zenith Transoceanic Portable Tube Radio. And, well, some of you might be asking, well, what is it? Well, before I start, opening this up and showing you everything, let's just start saying that it's, there used to be a cigarette commercial back in the 60s where a guy is talking to a dog. And the guy looks at the dog and asks him a question. He says, how do most cigarettes taste? And the dog goes, rough. Pretty much describes this guy here. Well, if you guessed that this was an H500 Transoceanic, you win the non-prize. There's no prize for that. But a few years back, I did a video that explained, what not to do in buying a Transoceanic unless you use that as a negotiating tool. I was told the radio works. I actually checked it out. And it does work to some degree, but we're going to pull the chassis out anyway. Immediately, if you look at the fascia here, you can see that one of the knobs is missing a knob right. And the other knob is really, really tarnished pretty bad. It's very dirty. It probably wasn't stored in a good dry place. Obviously the handle's missing, but I'm looking at the wave magnet and you can see that we're missing a nut. And somebody looked like at one time may have put some kind of tape or something over that. And being an H500 series, okay, this has the wrong antenna. That is an HE005 antenna. It's from an earlier Lochtel tube Transoceanic. So it's if you find something like this, I don't want to discourage you to say not buy it. Because if the tubes are in place, the tubes are probably worth at least $30 if they're good. But let's have a look at the back. Well, I opened up the back, and I could tell that's an early first run H500 because it had this jack in the back. I'm using my finger, yes, I'm using my finger and not a wooden stick to point that out to you. The early runs had that style headphone on it, which is kind of more conventional to a headphone that you would find, an old pair of crystal radio headphones. Another thing that I noticed right away, now it looks like all the tubes are there and intact, but it looks like, you see these studs sticking out? There's one back there and one here on the filter capacitor can. That's not the original filter cap, so someone did some work to this thing. This is kind of an interesting piece here, a little antenna extender, antenna helper. This is just really ugly. We will eventually find an antenna for that. I've already removed the chassis and I just found all the pieces laying inside. Here's the handle that was missing, and then I also noticed that one side of it, you see that side's okay, but the plastic's gone on that side. I have no clue what this guy is. I mean, it's got a rather unique connector on there. It's just the length of wire. Here's the wrong antenna that I took off. And I said it was from an HE005. Well, that's because this was laying inside. This is the original instructions and logbook for an HE005. Know your Zenith, please. And there it is. Let me get a better shot of it so it's not in the light. HE005. But the cool thing is the original manual is intact, along with, this is a schematic diagram and the alignment information for the radio itself. So to find that in there is kind of a surprise. Usually when you find radios of that condition, it's the manual and the schematic is usually gone. So that was kind of a pleasant surprise. Here's the chassis. all out of the case. Let's just see if there's any markings on it. Just, oh, what's that? That is the date. Let's see if I can get it better. There we go. 11/29/51. So this was made in late 1951, which confirms my thoughts of the first run of the radio. You can see all the tubes are intact. Let's see the underneath. Okay, folks, here's the underneath. And a lot of it's original. You can see all those wonderful capacitors that the audio guys like. You know, those beautiful audio caps. This 047, I'll tell you a short story. I was working on one of these a long time ago. And I had to, just as you see it here, I have the chassis kind of laying. Well, I had it upside down. And I put it on the Variac, and I was bringing it up. And that .047 actually split in half, because these are molded caps. They're actually plastic molded around a foil capacitor. And the damn thing, it was so funny. It actually exploded. It went pop, and a perfectly symmetrical smoke ring emanated from it. You know, and I don't know why people want to reuse these, but I'll tell you what, that's going to go. Now over here, you see the original selenium rectifier, except there's one little thing that's different. And if you see that little black cylindrical thing to the left there, that's probably a diode. So, and you can even see it in the wiring. So the selenium rectifier, I guess, was just used as a tie point. They put a diode in there. And I see we have the original dropping resistor, but somehow I think that voltage might be too high. But what I'll do is I'll just put this on the Variac, and we'll slowly bring it up and see what this thing does. I had replaced two of the .047 caps. These are the yellow polyester caps right here. This is the one I just was telling you the story how I saw the one blow up in front of me. That was kind of interesting. And then this is just for an isolation thing between the B minus and the chassis ground here. So they weren't awful, but they were getting there. Now, that all being said, the thing I usually do, and I use it as kind of a base mark to check what's going on here, is that I take a voltage reading for the filament string. Now, Zenith had a specification that they didn't want the filament string to exceed 8.4 volts. So right now we're about 8.75. And I took that reading between, this is the 1U5 here, and I just took a pin from there and then this pin up here where this 270 ohm resistor is. Here I'm using my finger again. There we go. Right here is a 275 ohm. And I take, kind of a little bit weird here, but I think it was this one of these two, pin 1 or pin 7 of 1U5, and I take from there I can actually find what the filament voltage is for the entire 5 tubes. So it's a little high right now, and it's not playing so well. Now, one thing that kind of stands out to me is kind of like, you know, what is this .01 disc cap here? Well, it's fine and it's working. However, it's a poor solder joint here somewhere. I went to touch it with my stick, and then all of a sudden the volume changed all over the place. So, that being said, I may have to do a little more investigative research here, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace this disc cap with a polyester. And you say, well, it's probably okay. Well, I don't know. Maybe when it was put in there it was okay, but I'm not liking it right now. So I'm going to change that out. And I want to see. I want to just make sure that everything else in the chassis is okay before I start working over here. I may just eventually just leave this here. I may not. I don't know. I mean, ultimately, in the worst case scenario, if this is a replacement filter cap, you know, the 4 filters, 60, 40, 20, and I think it's 60, 40, 20, or it's 80, 60, 20, or something like that. and a 220 or 200, and that's for the filament string. There is a small hum to the radio, so I'm going to hunt a little bit more, and let me see what I got. Well, I took that .01 disc cap out and I put in this polyester, and man, the volume really woke up. This thing had hardly any volume.
Wide receiver who, had a moment in the Minnesota playoff game.
I doubt if that was bad, but I don't think that was really meant for this, or it was just soldered in there kind of poorly. So now I gotta, this thing, I just gotta figure out this filament string issue. It's like 8.7, and I gotta get that back down. Well, I went from the 130, the original sand resistor that was in there, to the 150, and checking my line voltage or my filament voltage, and look at this. Now, Xena said keep it less than 8.4, but I'll tell you what, we're kind of splitting hairs here. I think I might just leave that alone right there. Radio seems to be playing okay.
When the outfielders,
radio's got plenty of volume. I'm pretty sure it's in dire need of an alignment though, because it's it seems like as long as it runs, it's, I just saw it go to 8.39, but I think it's going to be all right. So the AM seems to be okay, but I think someone played around with the pattern in the back, which is this terminal right there that controls the low end of the dial. So I know that's off. So I guess the next thing I'm going to do is see if I can do an alignment on this thing. Okay, I have the alignment procedure set up on my shop computer here, and you can see what's going on. What you want to do is have everything connected. You want to have the volt ohm meter connected to the speaker terminals, like I was saying before. Got the generator here. So what you have here is part of the alignment procedure. You have an input signal frequency, and what's usually the first thing to do on any radio is you're going to align the IF cans. Okay. So in this case, you want to take the signal generator set up for 455. You go to the broadcast portion of the band, set the dial at 600 kilocycles, and then you adjust L5, L6, L7, and L8. And what these are the four trimmers on the IF cans. There's each IF can, there's two IF cans and two trimmers on each can. One on top and one on the bottom. So that's how you line the IF. So I'm just going to kind of show you that's on the top thing and how to get everything set up. Okay, radio's tuned to 600 kc. The input signal from here is 455. I've got the meter clamped onto the speaker. I'm on the AC range, and if you look at the radio, I've got a alignment tool on here. I'm in the first IF can. Now theoretically you should be doing the second IF can first, then back to the first, then to the second to the first. I'm only doing this as a demonstration, okay? And then you have to do back and forth, and then underneath, back and forth, and then on top. You need to do that about 2 or 3 times to get it just right. But you see how when I turned it? You see on the meter? So you want to peak this to the highest number that you can get. It looks like it's 0.53. Alright, I'm just going to leave it there. So you get the idea. So you go to this can, and then go back to this can, and then back to this can, and you go back and forth, back and forth. Same thing with the bomb. Back and forth, back and forth. Get the highest peak that you can get. And that'll basically take care of the 2 IF cans. Then once you've got the IF cans done, then it's a matter of going to the bread slicer, and you've got 3 trimmers, C2, C3, and C4, which is in here. And that's this here, right here. You can see the bread slicer is here. Okay, the antenna broadcast trimmer is C2, which is up toward the front. Okay, the RF trimmer is C3, and the oscillator trimmer, where to find, wait a minute, I'm sorry, I got this backwards. The antenna is in the back, the RF trimmer is in the middle, and the broadcast oscillator is in the front. All right, closest to the tuning strings and things. So C2, C3, C4, you do your tuning there. Okay, and then you use, once you've got your oscillator is where you actually set the point where you want the dial pointer to point. The detector is where you're trying to get the signal to detect as best you can. So you want to get a highest number on your meter, and then the same thing, and then the alignment of the antenna. Okay, so you're basically peaking everything out, and then you've got that patter on the back of the set, that little screw on the this is purely on the I think it's just the H500 and the G500, where you peak everything out at 600 kc. So you're setting the oscillator and pad. You're tuning and padding back and forth. And I think I had said earlier that your better radios have that feature. Now you've got an interesting setup here. You're going to be doing the 4 to 8 scale and 48 megacycle scale, and then 2 to 4.0 megacycle scale. And that's on here. You've got the oscillator section here for the 4 to 8 and the 2.4. The detector from the 4.8 and 2.4 oscillator. Where's the 4.0? Oh yeah, the 4.8 antenna is here, and then the 2.4 antenna is here, and the detector coil is here and here. So all these trimmers you'll find here. Now, when you get to the back of the radio, you see here it's got all these little trimmers as well. So all the things here are the oscillator coils. These are the main oscillator coils here for the 4.8 and the 2.4. You should not have to touch these. They're factory set. They should be okay. There's no reason to have to mess around with it unless it's something absolutely positively wrong. You should just work from the shortwave trimmers here, the 16 to 19 to 25 and 31 meter oscillator coils, and then go to the detector coils here, 16, 19 meter, 25 meter, and 31 meter detector coils, and then finally the antenna, which is in the middle. Okay, and for each of those bands, and you should be good to go. The layout is here. Okay. So it tells you which ones to trim. And remember, unless you're working with the radio upside down, if it's right side up, like I have here. Okay, right now this is the top of the radio, but in the picture, this is upside down. So don't confuse the two, or else you're going to be in a real mess. Okay, so anyhow, that's pretty straightforward. And it took me about, maybe not quite an hour and 20 minutes to do everything. And I got everything where I want it now. Decided to polish some of the brass pieces on the case radio itself. This part of the latch I've already done. And now I'm going to do the bottom, but I'll show you how I do it on this one here. I use Mother's Magnet aluminum polish. You can use the metal polish of your choice. And what I do is I just take a soft towel. I could use this Kim towel, or I could just use a rag and start just rubbing over this thing and try to get as much off as you can. And it's just a lot of arm work, just back and forth with the polishing. Eventually you'll get through the clear lacquer. Clear lacquer on this is deteriorated, but eventually it'll shine. You keep it up and it'll shine like a jewel. After about, 10 minutes of rubbing or so, I got to this point, but it's still got some stuff on it. So now I'll show you my little secret. I'll take my Dremel, take a Q-tip, cut it in half, put it in the chuck of the Dremel, get a little polish going here, and then polish this up. Make sure you wear your eye protection. I have eye protection on. I just have rubber gloves just so I don't get black stuff all over my hands, because this is actually going to really polish this up. Let me just do the top part of this. No, I haven't buffed this or anything. Look at the difference. Pretty good, huh? Okay, so here's all the brass pieces all nice and shiny now, and I hit them with some clear satin lacquer. So they're not too shiny. They want to be shiny, but not crazy shiny. So when I get the case done on the radio, then I can go back on the radio. Okay, boys and girls, here's the finished piece. What I did was I cleaned the cabinet really well, and then just went over it with some really good boot polish, just like good black shoe polish. I prefer using a brand called Kiwi. I think they've been around for a long time. Found a handle, a correct handle for the radio. This is actual H500 handle. The other one of the nubs that actually goes into the brass piece was broken off. Let me give it the little flip. And the inside looks really good now. I kind of polished all this and cleaned it up. I found a couple knobs and put my last pair of new old stock knob brights. Those are those little brass pieces that's in there. I've been playing this radio the last couple of nights, and it's a DX machine. I explained to you earlier the alignment, the step-by-step of the alignment. This thing's a little DX machine. This really came out pretty nice. We've got the correct antenna in here now with the wave rod clip. This pulls fully up and fully down and pops up like it should when you bring it out to the front. So, and a nice wave magnet. This is a second wave magnet that I had. The original one, the dirty one, I put inside the case. I'll give that back to them, just kind of remember it by. Okay, here's the inside of it. And as you can see, it's kind of nice and shiny on the inside. I don't have my pointer. I can point everything out. But it's completely dusted. Here's the old wave magnet. I'll just give this back to him just as a reminder. That's what was on here when we started. I gave him a better cord here. And the nice part about this radio is it's got the spare tube holder to hold the 5 tubes in here, the 1L6, 2 1U4s, a 1U5, and a 3V4 if you want to have a spare tube set on here. Has nice cups on here. The only thing I didn't have was an extra, which would actually go into here, the wire that you could actually tape the wave magnet, and then if you were riding a bus or running this off of batteries and you're on a bus or a train or whatever, you could actually connect the antenna into this and have this antenna, using the suction cups on a window. And this had the original manual, and it's kind of hard to see. Let me maybe reposition the camera. Now you can see a little better. This paper sticking out is the original schematic. Well, gang, that's it. Thanks for watching, and see you again real soon. Don't forget, September, okay, the 20th and 21st, Kutztown. It's the 50th Kutztown event. Okay, so I've been doing this twice a year, so it's been 25 years. So if you could put that on your calendar, you think you could be in Kutztown, Pennsylvania for that, put it on your bucket list, because it's going to be the radio show. And while you're there, stop by and say hi. Okay, thanks again. Bye-bye.